Hello and welcome back to the Idaho Renaissance Fair YouTube page. Today we are going to be talking about some of the important inventions that were happening around the time that our fair takes place. Now our fair is taking place in 1494, so I went from 1450 to 1550, and a bunch of people are like, well, why does it matter? These inventions I'm talking about all actually still affect us today. Without the people inventing them at this time, our lives would be completely different. And I went from 1450 to 1550 because there was a lot, and I picked my favorites. Again, the ones that we still see affecting us today. And I grabbed some of the history from them. So not all of these are from Italy, but they were affecting Italy during the time of our fair or close after. So the very first one I wanted to talk about is the polished lenses. Okay, so it's 1450. They'd been using lenses to help see for a long time by this point, originally about 1285 to 1284. And the reason they don't know exactly is because the original inventor didn't want to share them at all. There was a guy named Friar Alessandro della Spina. This friar, he found out about these glasses that could help people see, and he shared them with everyone else. And there's specific sermons that talk about how he didn't invent it, but the guy who did was a jerk. So they give him the credit. And what the importance of that was, because people were suffering from bad eyesight all of human time. So in 1285 to 1287, having spectacles. They'd known about how to start fires with quartz and other clear glasses and stuff like that, but they hadn't really made it to the point where it was being used to help vision. It wasn't until 1285, 1287 that they really started using it for vision. They could tell a little bit earlier about how magnifying glass works, and they had that kind of technology. But in 1450, in particular, Nicholas of Cusa, he discovered the concave lens. And the concave lens was huge because it was specific to helping nearsighted people. I personally am a nearsighted person. It's because of Nicholas of Cusa in 1450 that my glasses are what they are today. Obviously, we've refined them and we've advanced the technology, but without that discovery, that wouldn't have happened for who knows how long. I mean, maybe it would have been another guy another day, but the history is he did it. And I'm grateful to him for it, because I personally have that affecting my life today, as do thousands of other people. The next one I want to talk about is in 1455. Johannes Gutenberg, he invented the movable metal type printing press. And that's important because it's not just the inventing of the printing press that's important. We had presses. We could use a press to help make wine. We could use a press to help make castings. We could do all sorts of things with presses. It's the movable type that makes the difference. It's because of the movable type they were able to print in 1455 the Gutenberg Bible. And it was huge. And a lot of people actually work under the assumption that that was the first time a printing press was in use. The fact is, though, that for hundreds of years before that in Eastern Asia, they were doing the same thing. And it's actually theorized that it was rumors of these printing presses that made it back to Gutenberg that inspired him to do it with the metal mobile print. And it's important to use the metal mobile print as the hyper focus for that, because over in East Asia they were using wood and they were using other things to go ahead and do that, and it's a lot easier than doing the metal, but the metal lasted longer, and so it was able to go through more presses to get more product. So, and that there were Bibles all the way down into Italy. They went quite far. Anyone that could read was reading it, and it made a difference. So in 1475 is going to be my next invention. So we're going 20 years forward, and they had the muzzle-loaded rifle with the first matchlock mechanism. Now that's important. A matchlock mechanism is where you would have a pan for your gunpowder, and you had a trigger in the back that had a hot spot on it, a match. And they would pull a trigger, and that match would fall forward, and it would ignite the powder in the pan, which would ignite the rest of the powder and shoot the pistol, shoot the bullet. So they'd had rifles for a little while. Okay, it was about 1411. They were using what was called an arquebus. The next thing I'd like to talk about, and this one's a big one for a lot of people, in Scotland in 1494, 1494, Scotland invented whiskey. Now, a lot of people enjoy whiskey, and the reason we know that was when it was invented is because there was a tax record called the executor, something like that. It's like the exchequer or the executor, something along those lines. I'm not 100% sure how to say it, but it listed 8 bowls of malt to Friar John Core to make aquavita. That could produce up to 1,500 bottles of first generation whiskey. And the rest is history. They refined the process and made it better and bigger and better and bigger. And we all know and enjoy the whiskey now. But that was 1494, and that was Scotland. So that was really big. Another thing that was really big, 1494, there was a Franciscan monk named Luca Pacioli. And he invented a new type of accounting, where in essence he produced the idea that all debits must equal all credits. So he's basically introduced balancing the checkbook. If you spent this much money, then you needed this much money to go ahead and make it even so that you're not in debt. Roughly. That's my understanding of it. And it was such a revolutionary idea at the time, and it was so effective, we're still using it in accounting practices today for actual accounting firms, for other corporate businesses when they're checking their books, and when they are doing your own family budget. Another big one was in also 1494. I tried specifically to find as many in 1494 as I could, but Leonardo da Vinci creates the earliest known drawing of a pendulum. And a lot of people are going to go, why does that matter? Pendulums are huge. If you've ever seen a grandfather clock, if you've ever seen a cuckoo clock, clocks in particular thrive off of pendulums. There's also a bunch of other sciences. There's a bunch of mathematics involved. There's a ton of things that from this concept of the pendulum has made all of the difference in our lives today. We see it literally everywhere. And it was first conceptualized on paper, as far as we can see. I'm sure there were other ideas out there, but the important thing is this is the first written record of a pendulum, and that was done by Leonardo da Vinci right between 1493 to 1494. They're not 100% positive on that, but it said 1494, so I went with that one. The last thing that I would like to talk about is in 1530. In 1530, the viola is started to be fabricated in northern Italy, much loved for its deeper tones than the violin and its lower tones. So the deeper and the lower tones, a more bass than the violin. It really started taking off in popularity and was put into main manufacturing there in 1530. And we all know and love the viola today. Its sound can be heard worldwide. People are still using it. It is just a loved instrument. And this has just been a really nice short video about some of the inventions that at the time were brand new and they were really big. And we still see them and use them and take advantage of all of those things to this day. This has been the Idaho Renaissance Fair, Inc. I hope your history is as fun as our history, and we'll catch you on the next one. Goodbye.